Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for Reddit cheating stories like these. Without further ado, let's get started.
27 female, wife of 5 years cheated on me, 27 male, with her coworker, 31 male. Should I try to reconcile? So, to begin, I'd like to state that I'm from Europe and English isn't my first language, so please excuse any grammatical mistakes. Oh, and I'd like to point out that my feelings are probably not adequately portrayed in this text since I haven't written in English in a long time, making it difficult to put my reality into words. To give you a comprehensive image of my relationship with my wife, I'd want to start with some background information. My wife and I have known each other since we were infants. Because we were neighbors, our parents were really close, which resulted in us often playing and doing activities together. So we professed our love for one another when we were approximately 6 years old. Unfortunately, when I was around 8 years old, my parents and I moved to the other end of town, causing our families to lose communication. So, essentially, my life went on. Until one day I get a text from an unknown number, who turns out to be my childhood pal. We began dating at the age of 17, and we were so in love that we couldn't get enough of each other. This resulted in her proposing 6 years ago and us marrying in 2017. Our marriage has always been strong and passionate, as has our connection before to marriage. We both make decent money, but she is the breadwinner since she earns far more than I do. We also have a lot of friends, wonderful parents, and had a fantastic life before I discovered it. This is something I've been grappling with a lot. Why would we cheat when we were so happy? Was she ever satisfied with me? Did she even want to be intimate with me? Is this another deception? My wife works standard working hours, such as 40 hours per week or occasionally a little more. I had no idea anything was wrong, and I would have never known if it hadn't been for a text her buddy sent her that I read. "You should definitely tell him," she said, "since he is a decent man and deserves to know." My wife was in the shower when she received the text, and I was absolutely clueless of what was going on. I didn't think she or I would cheat on each other, it wasn't even an option for me. But curiosity got the best of me, and I opened her phone and there it was, I saw everything. I discovered that my wife had an affair with a colleague for at least 2 months. She supposedly broke up with him about a month ago because the guilt was eating her up. I have a hard time believing I will ever forget those sights. To have someone who I felt to be the most kind, honest, and loving betray me in such a way was really upsetting for me. I went through all of the emotions that a BS goes through, and then some, but I didn't confront her when she stepped out of the shower since I was still numb from the experience of being in the shower. I went to her friend's home the next day and asked her to please tell me all she knew about my wife's affair. She agreed and I left. It was simply a confirmation of what I had previously assumed. It took around 2 months for her to have the relationship to the point where it got in the last 3 weeks, but there was a lot of flirting before they had. My friend told me that she thinks she did it because the guy pushed her too hard, and my wife eventually caved into his demands. I had a feeling it was going to happen since my wife was typically quiet and reserved, and the interactions between my wife and her coworker effectively confirmed my suspicions. After meeting up with my wife's buddy, I went home and waited for my wife to come back home. When she arrived, I informed her of what I had learned and that a divorce was most likely the wisest course of action. When she didn't agree, she broke out laughing, which was something I had never seen before. She said that she would go to any extent in order to keep us together. The sound of her weeping infuriated me at the time. She must be unhappy since she is the one who has fooled me, else she would not be depressed. When I realized I was growing agitated, I told her that we would be able to continue our discussion the following day. As I gathered from our conversation, she has always had low self-esteem, which may have contributed to her willingness to accept the attention her colleague poured upon her. Upon learning that she was having an affair, my wife told me that she has been seeing a counselor since making the decision to end the relationship. The therapist has been assisting her in discovering the source of the affair. The therapist also encouraged her to tell me about the affair as soon as she was ready, but she was determined to disobey her therapist and take it all the way to the cemetery with her. She saw how happy I was and didn't want to ruin it for me by spoiling it for her. She didn't want to be a saboteur against us. Consequently, after a restful sleep, as I had not slept at all the night before, I awakened to find my wife waiting for me at our kitchen table with a piece of paper in her hand. I'd never seen her look like that before. My wife is a very beautiful person, but she seemed to be walking about like a zombie that day. My guess is that she didn't get much sleep. Consequently, I took a seat in front of her and asked if she would want to continue our talk. She nodded and stepped up to the plate. She had regained her composure and apologized once again. Then she begged for another chance, declaring she would be the best wife in the world and such rubbish. She was refused. Her words were followed by a list of the things that she was willing to do in order to save our marriage. The woman claimed that she was willing to give up virtually all of her money for me, that she would rewrite the deeds to her home in my name, that she would allow me to sleep with other females as long as she remained loyal, and that she would even assist me in finding them because apparently a girl in her friend circle confessed to having a thing for me, among other things. There are a slew of other strange things. After detailing what she was prepared to do for about half an hour, she ended up speaking for nearly an hour. This made me quite happy, and it reminded me of the reasons why I had fallen in love with her in the first place. Her will to achieve, as well as her soft and caring demeanor. I then inquired as to why she would go to such lengths, and she responded by saying that nothing is more important to her than me, and she would go to any extent to demonstrate her love for me. Now for the part of the essay that I'm not so pleased with. After all of the chit-chat, she came up to me and initiated, to which I answered positively. It was a very different experience this time. When we had in the past, I was usually the dominant one, but not today. Previously, our life had been fantastic, but she never took the initiative, and I accepted it as our life. I'll be clear, this was never a desire of mine since I like controlling others. However, I'm beginning to wonder if she really wanted to do this and I just didn't give her the chance. Or am I reading too much into this situation? Probably. I am not delusional, and I am well aware of how much I still appreciate my wife. But, more importantly, does she have emotions for me? Is she even interested in me, or is this all a ploy on my part? How do I know when it's okay to place my trust in her? And how can I get rid of the annoying thoughts that keep popping into my head? So you're aware that most of the stuff was written a week ago, and we've been living together as roommates since then. Even though she makes genuine efforts to make peace with me, I am filled with a mixture of hatred, regret for marrying her, and despair the most of the time I see her. The truth has been revealed to everyone and she now has barely a fraction of the friends she used to have, according to estimates. Even her surviving friends are disgusted by her. I struck her in the face because her parents were furious at her behavior. My life is presently being portrayed as a television drama, and I loathe it. My mind is blank as to what to do at the moment. My wife told me that she finds counseling to be really useful, and that she believes it would be good to me as well. I've never been a believer in counseling, but I want to check into it more. I really want to attempt to reconcile with her, but I'm not sure whether I'm wasting my time, and it's possible that she's still having relations with him. Alternatively, maybe she will do so in the future? I'm quite aware that my thoughts are a tangled jumble at the moment. I feel it is time for me to retire to bed. The most important thing I'm searching for right now is whether or if reconciliation is actually worth it in my particular scenario. In the event that you've made it this far, I appreciate you taking the time to read this, and I would really appreciate it if you could provide me with any advice or answer any of my concerns. If you have one, please share it in the comments section. And I'm well aware that my life at the moment seems to be a bad joke. I've even made some snide remarks about it myself. So, if you don't have anything meaningful to say, please don't bother me with your presence. See ya.